Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Great Lantern Talks About. And today I want to talk about a movie I watched last night. It's called Eloise, and it stars Chase Crawford, better known as the Deep from The Boys, Brandon T. Jackson, who I always see as Al Pacino from Tropic Thunder, Eliza Dushku from the Buffy the Vampire series, and Robert Patrick uh, from Terminator 2. So the movie opens with Chase's character being informed that his father has passed and he needs to speak with a lawyer to go about gaining the inheritance. The inheritance is valued at $1.2 million pre-taxes, of course, but there's a snag, and the snag is he has to prove the death of his aunt, a aunt he didn't know he had. So the lawyer just gives him the information. Hey, you have an aunt. She was committed to this asylum some time ago. The asylum closed, but she was never discharged. So the thought is that she died in the asylum. So get the death certificate and prove that she's dead, and the inheritance is yours. He goes to the asylum. He asks for the records, and turns out that the records are kept off site. Right. So he happens up onto a friend played by Brandon T. Jackson, and they concoct this plan to break into the asylum to retrieve the death certificate of his aunt. While they're making this plan, they happen up on a website that of this guy who kind of knows all the ins and outs of the asylum. You know, he's just an asylum type savant, I guess. But they happen up on the site, so they go to him to get the blueprints. Turns out that he's the brother of a woman that they had ran into earlier. So they get into the asylum, right? And from there is just, I think that's where the wheels fall off, right? Is because the whole idea or notion is prove your aunt's death, but the asylum is thought to be haunted, and as such supernatural things start occurring, and then it takes on like a time displacement, time travel sort of vibe to it, where these two timelines are existing at the same time, the past and the present. And uh, it felt like the writers kind of wrote themselves into a corner and was trying to fight their way out, and really didn't do to me didn't do a good job of doing that. Essentially, spoiler alerts, but essentially what ends up happening is that Chase's character, whose name is Jacob, ends up witnessing his own birth and giving his mom the idea of naming him Jacob. Now, the person that was described as his aunt in the beginning is his mother. So, after being born in the asylum, he is then hidden away by the girl who they met in a bar when she was 4 or 5-ish, somewhere in there, and given to his dad, who in reality is his uncle. His dad ends up being Robert Patrick, who is a doctor in the hospital doing all these crazy experiments. And he creates or recreates the fire that burned down the asylum in the beginning. Pia, who is Eliza Driscoll's character, is, distraught. It is, like I said, it felt like they wrote themselves into a corner and tried to fight their ways out. There's two senseless deaths that didn't have to happen at all, in my opinion, other than for the sake of someone's got to die, right? And in fact, three of the four main characters die, and there's no reason that it has to. So it's what I watched. It's a 90-minute movie, and it just disappointed. I enjoy atmospheric horror. I really do. The Ward comes to mind. I think there's a movie, Patient 9, Grave Encounters 2, Hell House LLC. I enjoy atmospheric horror movies, and I thought that this was going to be something that I could recommend to people and be like, hey, it's not a bad watch. I can't even say that. But I do know there are some people who like terrible movies. And if you like terrible movies, I recommend Eloise. So with that being said, if you made it this far into the video, thanks for watching and listening to me just talk about Eloise. I saw it on Amazon Prime if you are so inclined. Until next time, I am Green Lantern, and you are awesome.